Civilian planes have not flown in Ukraine since February 24th. Now, when we hear the sound of an airplane overhead, it can only mean two things: either a Ukrainian military or transport plane, or a Russian missile. Now, instead of the usual 2 hours by plane, Ukrainians have to spend tens of hours on trains or buses going abroad. Today's episode is about those Ukrainians who met a full-scale war abroad. Some hurried back, and some decided to stay and help from there. This is UA, the day that we survived. Ukrainian journalists have come together to create it with real people who record themselves and send us their recordings. Back in February, Ukrainians still lived in peace. We studied, worked, and planned our vacations. Like today's heroine Ola, who met war abroad.
Ми з моїм хлопцем поїхали у подорож.
My boyfriend and I went on a vacation. We knew about the three-ton invasion. Our departure was supposed to be on February 16. If you remember, it was a possible date of Russia's attack. Therefore, some airlines have cancelled their flights. Our flight was also postponed for 2 days, but we somehow took off. All the time before the full-scale invasion, we have monitored all the news and checked the situation. It was difficult and impossible to stay away from it. And when the war started, it was not easy either. Imagine your family and friends wake up from the explosions and you don't even know how to help them. Your own life is not in physical danger, but you have no idea what to do. For about 2 days, we could not eat at all. We didn't go anywhere and did not take part in the planned activities. It felt like staying in a fog. As I remembered it right now, it was not easy at all. And it was hard to see cheerful people on the streets whose life was going on just as it used to be. And it was awful to hear the Russian language. We exchanged tickets and flew to another country. I've decided to stay there for a while because it was unclear where to return. I had a feeling that everything would calm down after a while. Just in a week or two, it would be possible to come back to Ukraine by plane. Like everyone else, I experienced survivor's guilt, especially in the early days when there were many explosions and destructions. How did it come up that I was safe? I felt like I couldn't go to the mall, although I was left almost without my stuff, and I just had to get some. I understood that in Ukraine people were hiding from bombs, so I couldn't just go shopping. I started to escape into some activities and do something that I can do best. Volunteering and working on projects allowed me to stay afloat. I knew I was doing something I was keen on, and it was useful. Later, I spent more time alone and listened to my feeling.
Якось відразу почала, мабуть, втікати я можу назвати це таким бажанням втікнути в якусь діяльність, щось робити з того, що я найкраще вмію.
My family advised me to stay abroad because, in their opinion, it was the only alternative to survive and live. But I couldn't stay abroad for long. In the first week after my return, it was difficult for me to communicate with my mother. She didn't understand why I come back as a war was still going on. It was also difficult to stay abroad because I didn't know what to do there and what my status was.
Ola reminiscence about not knowing what to do next. During her stay abroad, she actively searched for ways to continue studying and work to support Ukraine. After a couple of months after the Russian invasion, one of those opportunities led her to leave the country once again. but this time with a completely different set of emotions.
Зараз знов за кордоном, але зараз я вже тут із розумінням, хто я.
Now I'm abroad again, but with an understanding of who I am, why, and what is my role in this new reality. What knowledge I can gain to help my country win and be rebuilt. Wherever you are, you will always feel at home. Maybe because now there is such a lot of support, there are Ukrainian flags everywhere, and you feel like at home. The core of your identity is your values. And if you are in Ukraine or abroad, you always remember the most important things. One of the top values is the desire to live in your own free and developed homeland. I try to spread this narrative in the environment where I find myself on the one hand, and on the other hand, I try to absorb all the knowledge I get here and all this experience to use in the future.
Sergey is a programmer. At the beginning of February, he went on a vacation to Thailand with his wife and daughter. They still haven't returned home.
Hi, I'm Sergey. I'm a software engineer and I'm doing mobile applications for Android platform. I am with my family of wife and a 3-year-old daughter. We are in Thailand, in Phuket. Also, there are 2 families of friends in the same situation, living together with us. So we came there for vacation at the beginning of February, so we planned this long ago, and then the war started. So luckily there is a possibility from Thai government that due to COVID everybody can extend their travel visa by 2 months. Every 2 months these rules are reviewed. So for now, we can live here until October. Maybe there it will be extended by 2 more months. We'll see. Yeah, regarding the day when the war started, it was a story that we finally decided to see some Sibylline beaches and do some sightseeing. And we went to the so-called Freedom Beach on the 24th of February, so we think that it's a good sign at the end, but at that day it was horrible, so we didn't have mobile network when we went to that beach, and then when we returned to the hotel, we started to read the news, and of course we were shocked. We couldn't understand what is going on, and it was just a shock, of course, like for every Ukrainian. So for the first week, we couldn't sleep well. So the kid was watching the cartoons all day long on the mobile phone. It was a shock. So at the beginning, and a bit now, we felt the survival syndrome. Of course, like why we are here in a paradise country with a wonderful nature and wonderful weather, and all these Thai people and vacation people are smiling always, are super happy, but people in my country are dying from the bullets and sleeping in the shelters. It was hard to understand, but then in a week or something we started to think in a key of how can we help our country. And so luckily we are working for, as many IT people, we are working for foreign clients. So my company is from Germany, for example, and I can still work and still get foreign currency to Ukraine. So that is supporting the economy, not all the spheres. Unfortunately now are okay, but IT can still provide some money into country. Also, the priorities changed itself. So before you were trying to earn money for new laptop, or I don't know, for some equipment, or to earn for the new car or something, but now it doesn't really matter. So we are having the place to live. Right now we can eat some food. The rest of the money we give to help Ukraine. So we really dream about returning to the independent country without a war. And if our money and our effort will help to throw away the Russian occupants, then we should for sure do that. So apart from that, there are a lot of people from Ukraine kind of stuck here. Some are living for a long time here in Phuket and also in Thailand. So yeah, we started to organize ourselves. So we are doing some charity festivals. So we did it a couple of times with selling goods from Ukraine. The friends of us are organizing the singing evenings, where we also do the fundraising for Ukrainian army. In general, our family situation is not quite typical, as we can work remotely from any part of the world, but that gives us a possibility to help Ukraine more. So answering the question whether we are planning to return to Ukraine, yes, we would like to, but still, we are just living in a feeling of being temporarily here, so we do not extend our visa. So we do not do the long visa extension or something, because we really want to return to Ukraine. But for now, we are thinking that we can help more being there. That's pretty much it. We'll see how it goes. Hope for the best. Hope for the victory for Ukraine, and glory to Ukraine.
Natalia was also abroad when the invasion happened. Together with her partner, she was traveling through Tanzania.
Всередині лютого ми переїхали на нову квартиру.
In mid-February, we moved to a new apartment. Before that, there had been a lot of difficult work and repairs, so I was insanely tired. I really needed to rest and switch a little from that routine. My partner and I have been thinking for a long time where to go. We were looking through two options. I dreamed of going to Nepal to see Himalayas, but recently we started thinking about the possibility of conquering Kilimanjaro. And taking all the pros and cons, and considering that the trip to Himalayas is scheduled only for April and Kilimanjaro can be climbed in February, we decided to go to Africa. In the end, this trip was also very stressful. Departure from Kyiv was scheduled for February 15th, and even then, between 14th and 16th, Kayab has cancelled several bookings, and we didn't know if it will be possible to fly. Still, we decided to go to Kyiv and find out everything there. In the end, our flight occurred and we got to Zanzibar. We flew to Arusha and started our road. For 8 days, we were in park of Mount Kilimanjaro, paced the road Omlimosho, and climbed to the top on February 22nd. Even then, some news reached us. Lufthansa has already cancelled all flights to Ukraine, and then we learned that Putin recognized as independent the LNR and the DNR. Everything was going to the point that there would be a war. Also, we did not believe it until it actually happened. On February 22nd, at 5 a.m., we were at Kilimanjaro Airport. Our flight to Zanzibar was approximately 7:40 local time and 6:40 Ukrainian time. So at 5 a.m., we were at the airport, handed over all our belongings, and were waiting for landing. That's where I saw the news. Putin declared a war. Immediately after that, all our group, and there were mostly Ukrainians or Ukrainians living abroad, started watching the news. Everyone was calling relatives. We were wearing masks. I mean, it was that world where the COVID pandemic was still happening. We sat and just cried. I remember watching the news and videos of the shelling and then was a feeling of total helpless, anger, and misunderstanding. It hurted because I realized it was my first time away from home and I didn't know how to get back. After all my relatives were there. And the next few days, we were looking for a way to get home.
Одразу після цього ми вся наша група, тобто здебільшого це українці з різних міст, а також українці, які мешкають.
The Ukrainian sky was already closed, and we all started looking for different ways to get to Europe and cross the Ukrainian border by a land transport. We found flight tickets through Dubai, but it turned out that they required a PCR test once again. That COVID reality still existed somewhere nearby. It was such a surreal time when we went looking for a clinic in Zanzibar, hot climate, palm trees, taking a test and worrying, what if I'm sick? God, then it would mean a few more weeks of sitting and not understanding who am I, where and why. Once we have got the results, we were able to fly safely through Dubai. I flew to Poland for 4 days. My colleague met us there. She took us home, we had dinner and spent the night. And then I returned to Krakow, and then to Przemysl, and then go to Lviv by train. Already in Krakow, I had realized that the world has changed radically. And the train station in Przemysl was also one of the brightest and saddest memories of the first day of the war, because I saw so many people whose lives were ruined by the war. On the 6th day of the war, I was already in Lviv.
War influences us regardless of where we are. Vast majority of Ukrainians who fled due to war or weren't able to return home want to come back to Ukraine. We always only start showing proper respect to something when we've lost it.